Hey, this is Don from Padlock Technologies again with another video. This time we are going to talk about how to do SD-WAN, but I'm going to do it on FortiGate. So this is SD-WAN on FortiGates. Now, before we get to the lab, I need to address something about the term SD-WAN. It is SD-WAN can be used in many different situations for different things. And what I see with having conversations about SD-WAN is people are kind of confused because the industry has made SD-WAN, put SD-WAN in everything, right? So to me, there are three types of SD-WANs. There's SD-WAN link aggregation, so WAN link aggregation or internet link aggregation, and you could do some basic policy enforcement. There are some policy to say, hey, if it's this, go over this link. If there's jitter, go over this link, or some kind of policy that you want to create to pick a certain link. So that's WAN aggregation that falls under the umbrella of SD-WAN. Then there's SD-WAN topologies for VPN. Now, I did a video on SD-WAN topologies for secure firewall. If you want to know what that looks like, I'm going to go over this way. It's going to be a video probably somewhere over here. That's going to show you how to do SD-WAN topology VPN style on a Cisco secure firewall. Fortinet has SD-WAN on their firewalls. Palo Alto has SD-WAN on their firewall. So that's that version of SD-WAN. And then you have enterprise grade SD-WAN, which falls into Catalyst SD-WAN, Prisma or Palo Alto Ion devices with their SD-WAN. There's Cato networks. There's all kind of stuff going around. So as you can see, when you just use the term SD-WAN, you first need to figure out what that person's talking about or an idea of what they're trying to get. Like, what's the outcome you're trying to get? Now, if they say, hey, we're just trying to use multiple internet links and, have different flows over different links, stuff like that, that's traditional. That's like SD-WAN link aggregation or ECMP. Now, I did a video on ECMP on secure firewall as well. I'll put that video over here where it's going to show up of ECMP on secure firewall, which is just link aggregation and just be able to go over each link, whatever you want to do. This video for FortiGate is going to be that as well. We're going to do FortiGate WAN link aggregation. Now, again, find out what the person is trying to do from an outcome perspective, and then that will kind of give you a hint on what SD-WAN they're talking about. With that being said, let's jump into the lab and take a look at this. So, Simple Lab, Eve just came out with a new version. I think it's 6403 or something like that. Pretty cool. They really did a bang up job on the GUI and all that good stuff. To me, Eve is still the best platform to lab on. Now, I know Cisco has CML and there's the old heads know about GNS3, but to me, Eve gives you the best multi-vendor platform for labbing of all the platforms, and it's pretty easy to get it set up and running. So first things first, I'm not sure. I have a whole bunch of other stuff in this lab, and it's not showing everything. So I have different links here that were in different colors. Not sure why they're not showing now. But case in point, ISP1 is 200.100.1.0/24. ISP2 is 200.102.0/24. And ISP3 is 200.103-24. We have two FortiGates here. We have a Windows device, obviously. But we have two FortiGates here running in HA. Let's actually log into that one. I'm going to log in as here. And I'm just going to show you a very basic setup here for link aggregation SD-WAN. So we don't need to save this. So basically what we got here is we got a couple networks. So let's go to our networks and we go to our interfaces. So we have WAN 1, WAN 2, WAN 3, and we have LAN right here. Now, you have to obviously you need 3 external interfaces. Now, in the real world, most people are not using 3 interfaces most of the time. Most of the time, they're going to use 2 WAN interfaces and they're either going to do something like this, which is going to be, you know, SD-WAN kind of style, or Cisco ECMP, if you want to call it that, and then, or they're going to do like active standby with some kind of monitoring to say, hey, if we can't get to some destination out this link, automatically fail over to the other link. This one is just going to be load balancing between all my links here. So once we set up the links, now over here in the left-hand corner, you have something called SD-WAN. So SD-WAN is basically Fortinet's WAN link aggregation feature, at least on the firewall itself. Now, if you're talking about SD-WAN from a VPN perspective, again, just like I said, that's a totally different setup. This is just internet link aggregation here. So, first thing you got to do is you create your SD-WAN zones. Now, this virtual WAN link comes in by default. When you create one, and then this is a little backwards. When you create your zone, when you first do this, you go to zones, and then this comes up. Now, when you first create this, if you hit zone member, this won't show up, right? Sometimes. Now, you create your zone, you can add your interface members, and that's it. That's basically what I did. I created a zone called SD-WAN zone. I added these 3 links. Now, when you create these 3 links, what ends up happening is you're going to put your gateway in here. And once you put your gateway in here, basically you have a calls value. So if I wanted to edit this, you just say WAN 1, you put it in the SD-WAN zone, and you put your gateway in there, and you can give it your calls a priority. Now I gave all the priorities 1, so I'm going to load balance between everything. Then after you create all these, you go to your SD-WAN rules. Now my SD-WAN rules, I just use the default that was in here, and I change it from source to source and destination IP. Now the difference between the two is what the FortiGate will do is say, hey, if it's the same source, we're going to send it out the same link, right? And what ends up happening is you will get pinned on the one link for all your traffic. And that's not what I wanted to demonstrate here. So I changed the source and destination IP. So if the source and the destination is the same, it'll pin it to one interface. The minute that destination changes, it pins it to another interface. So you'll see some load balancing here. Now there's some performance LSA stuff that you can change and all that good stuff here. Latency, packet loss, jitter. This is the SD-WAN intelligence that's added into this feature here. You can always change it if you want, but I left that the same. Now, after you do that, the next thing you have to do is do your static route. Now, the difference in this static route is when you normally create static routes on a firewall or on a Fortinet, it's going to ask you for the interface or the gateway. So what you need to do is you're going to say, to get out my default gateway, I'm just going to go to the SD-WAN internet zone. And that's going to take all 3 of my default gateways and add it into the routing table. So when I go to the routing table, and again, I think this is a pretty cool feature. In Fortinet, you can just get right to the CLI from here. I think Cisco has it well, but it's in a different area. But I think Cisco should just put it exactly how Fortinet does it, and just put it in the corner somewhere so I can instantly access the CLI. So let's look at the routing table here. For this, we're going to go get router info, routing table, all, and there you go. So those 3 routes that you saw in my SD-WAN zone are now set in the routing table. So I can go to either one of these, right? And you see, obviously, administrative distance is 1, so this is going to be load balancing here. So once that's there, you need to create your NAT role. And if everybody knows how I've done Fortinets, I like to use centralized NAT. So I have a centralized NAT role here. And this centralized NAT rule is basically saying anything from the LAN zone to these from the LAN interface to any of these WAN interfaces. We're going to basically NAT it to the destination to that interface IP. So if I open this up real quick, see, from incoming interface LAN going to any one of these, all we're going to NAT it using the outside interface. So we're good there. Now, do I wish I was able to put the SD-WAN internet zone in here? Yeah, but again, this is just that's just me nitpicking. As long as this works, we're good to go. So from a firewall policy standpoint, though, you can put the interface zone in there, the SD-WAN interface zone in there. So here's my default internet rule, source, destination, whatever. I don't really care too much about that. Let's go to edit in here. So as you can see, I'm going from the LAN zone to the SD-WAN zone for just about anything. Not proper internet security rule, or not a proper rule for traffic going to the internet, but for this demonstration, I just allowed anything. But if you want to ask my personal opinion, for internet traffic, you should only allow stuff that's for internet. So HTTP, HTTPS, maybe NTP, maybe ping or ICMP and DNS. Those ports you should allow, and then everything else you should kind of block unless you have a specific reason for it. Because attackers they usually attack on high ports. So if anybody got something on the machine that calls home on a high port, it won't be able to go through the firewall. That's a little tip for you guys. So now that all this is said and done, and we basically got everything set up, we created the SD-WAN zone. We added the interfaces to the zone. We created the routing that points to the SD-WAN interface. We NAT it, make sure NAT is there, and now we have the firewall rule. The last thing we need to do is test out some traffic here. So now we're going to open up. I think I already have some stuff here. So I did have YouTube, but let's go to NBA. You know, I usually do this. So we go to NBA. Wait for NBA to come up. And I'm going to do NFL over here. So at least we have new sites. So go to NFL. Let that do its thing. So now the NBA is up. This thing takes forever, by the way, because my lab is just always, I have multiple labs running at one time. So sometimes these little Windows machines, they do behave slowly. Well, while that's working, I'm going to slide this to the side for a second. Wait for that stuff to come up. Let's go to logs. So if we look at the logging, as you can see, default internet rule. Now what I'm going to do is I'm also going to do the destination interface here so you can see what interfaces this is going out of. And as you can see, we got, NFL is going out WAN 1, then we got some coming out of WAN 3, WAN 1, we have some stuff coming out of WAN 2. So now that shows you that I'm doing load balancing here. And obviously I wanted to drag this over so you see like it is technically working. It's just the machine is slow because I didn't give it a bunch of memory or anything like that. But with that being said, if we go to all three of these routers, and oh, that is not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do EN. Let's go here, show IPNet translations to see the translations that are happening. As you can see, there's some NAT translations there. And since we're load balancing, we should see some NAT translations on this one as well. There you go. And then whenever this is get done, we're going to run the same command. And you'll see NAT translations on this. So you can say that the firewall is load balancing or doing link aggregation and load balancing the traffic between all three internet service providers. And that, my friend, is SD-WAN link aggregation in a nutshell on a Fortinet. Again, I put some cards up here to watch the same thing, ECMP on a secure firewall. Please go ahead and watch that. But again, for anybody out there that's an engineer, consultant, again, watch this video to know what link aggregation is for SD-WAN, and then learn the other styles of SD-WAN. And then the real key is when you're talking to somebody, always ask what the outcome is so you can figure out what kind of SD-WAN they're talking about. So if you like videos like this, I like doing them. Please don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. repost this on your socials, bring more people to the channel. My channel is growing, and I appreciate every like, every comment, and every subscriber I get. This is Don from Padlock Technologies again. Thank you, and have a nice day.